Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Everyday Carry for the Everyday Guy. And as you probably saw from that intro, today we're going to be talking about the Kore Essentials EDC gun belt. Now, before I call this the best gun belt I've ever gotten my hands on, I think I have to first tell you what my sample size of gun belts are. So, the very first gun belt I owned was one of those sniper gear gun belts, and this is all that's left of it because I thought the mechanics that went into this clip was really cool and I quite liked the aesthetics of it. That gun belt is no longer with us. I then moved on to the CR speed belt, very popular here in South Africa. One of the most rigid belts that you would ever get your hands on. I've done reviews on all of these belts and they will be popping up in the screen as I go through it. So CR Speed. From there I moved on to Denal's Cobra EDC belt, also a very popular belt with a very popular clip. If you know, you know. From Denal's I went to Beltman Inc. They make leather gun belts, really cool. They also from the US. I got one of these from Paul Fisser, thank you to him. From there I moved on to the Bravo Concealment, is that upside down? Bravo Concealment Cinturon, and now I am at the Kore Essentials belt. Okay, so before we even go further, we've got to talk about the thing that makes the Kore Essentials belt so much better than, so much better, such a strong word. We've got to talk about the thing that makes the Kore Essentials belt so much better than most gun belts. 1 second. Okay, so actually there's probably two things. Firstly, when you get the Kore Essentials belt, it comes in like a one size fits all. So I had to cut this bit of belt off. It goes onto the end that goes into the clip, okay? But the deal with Kore Essentials is, it's like maybe 2 or 3-fold. Firstly, it's their track line system. What that is on the inside of the belt, they've got this track line, okay? This track line syncs up, and I'm going to try to get this, with a little sort of arm in there that opens. Can you see this piece here? That goes into that track line. Like, what's the best way to show this? The belt's really stiff, so it's hard for me to flip this around like that. Can you see that little piece over there? It's inside the track, and if I press there, it opens up. Maybe there's a better shot. Can you see that? So effectively what happens is this belt has a almost, let me get my lighting a bit, how's that? This belt has a almost infinitely perfect sizing system, okay? It's never too big and it's never too small. And the reason I say that is, a lot of times in life, especially when EDCing, your holsters change, right? Sometimes you go from something like this, which is quite a sizable setup, to something like this. And belts that have belt holes in them, like this, they might not always fit. And so often you're very lucky if you get a belt that always fits you, that works with belt holes. Now what Kore Essentials have done is, with their track line system, once the track is initiated, you'll hear those clicks, okay? It's now locked into place. Gosh, this is difficult. It's locked into place. That's probably a very good shot. You take your finger and you put it on this little stub over here, you depress it and it opens it up. And now you can adjust the size to whatever you want. And it's really, really that simple. As you slide the track, it locks into place. You pull the little stub and you can open it up. And it's that simple, guys. Now the first thing that comes to mind with belts like this is rigidity. And when you first get the Kore Essentials belt, you're like, oh man, that doesn't feel as rigid as other belts. And it was in wearing this belt I realized that rigidity is a fine balance. What I mean by that is the Denal's Cobra belt, a lot of people have contacted me saying, amazing rigidity, not the most comfortable belt. And I always thought rigidity when it comes to EDC was a measure of comfort. I thought that is what makes an EDC belt comfortable, but it's a balancing act. Because this belt stays circular or cylindrical no matter what, right? There are certain places on your body where it's going to pinch and dig in, because your body, if you look at it, if you cut yourself in half and you look at your body from the top down, while it is cylindrical, it's not a perfect circle, okay? And this thing kind of remains a perfect circle. So there are edges where it's going to dig in, especially guys who are a bit bigger, love handles, that sort of thing. It doesn't shape to your body as you would like. Now, there is the opposite end of the spectrum. This is a non-gun belt. So let me show you. Let's start off with Kore Essentials. Watch what happens when I put a holster with a firearm into a Kore Essentials gun belt. This firearm is empty and safe. I'll show that to you now. So we are empty and safe. Okay. Now, I'm going to hold the belt on the sides as if it was on my hips. You get what I'm saying? Right? The belt holds the firearm in place and remains rigid on the vertical plane, okay? And it remains horizontal on the horizontal plane. Watch what happens if I put this on a belt that is not a gun belt. So let's do the same thing with a non-gun belt. Okay, this is your standard dress belt from, I don't know, whatever shop. Okay, watch what happens. You see what I'm saying? That is not only going to affect comfort, it's going to affect concealment. And I'd go so far as to say, although I don't want to say this because I feel like people use it as a crutch for not training, it'll probably also affect your draw stroke. So rigidity on a gun belt is, you know what, let me show you. So the rigidity on the vertical plane of the Kore Essentials belt is awesome. It can withstand my 85 odd kilograms on a very concentrated point, you know, so it's going to be able to hold your firearm, but it's not so rigid that it can't bend and shape with your body, right? That is part of the genius, and no one's mentioning it. In the reviews I've watched, they've not mentioned that they've got the rigidity down just right. Belts like the Nels Cobra, great. I mean, it's a good gun belt, right? It's a really good gun belt. I'm not saying it's a bad belt. And it's so weird for me to say this because I don't believe I'm saying it. It can sometimes almost be too rigid, too stiff in its cylindricalness. Similarly, the CR speed belt. And the strange part is you don't know how comfortable it is. Like, I didn't know how comfortable a better belt was until I tried the better belt. So when I go from the original belt that I had to something like the Denals Cobra, I'm like, oh, the Denals is like almost the best belt ever. It's a million times better, right? The CR Speed belt, kind of the same thing. It's like, oh, these belts are amazing. Then I went to Bravo Concealment, which is also a bit less rigid, and to the Beltman belts, which I've dropped on the floor. The Beltman belts, which is rigid on the vertical plane, right? But it has a bit of shape and bend to it. And I was like, man, that feels so much better. And I'm concealing so much better as well. So first and foremostly, rigidity is important, but it is a double-edged sword. A belt can be too rigid, right? It's got to give and mold with your body a bit. It just must maintain rigidity on the vertical plane, right? And it mustn't do that. Okay, so let's delve further into in fact, you know what, let me show you how I would recommend applying the Kore Essentials gun belt. Okay guys, so there's two recommended ways that I would recommend putting on the Kore Essentials belt. Firstly, you get this tab, which I've probably spoken about earlier on, and if you're going to wear a wider holster, I would recommend sliding it into not your first belt loop, your second belt loop. So sliding it through there, bringing it around. The pants and the t-shirt that I'm wearing is both from Urban Warrior. If you are interested in that, I'll leave links below. So sort of doing it quite loose, right? Then taking, if you're running a big setup, something like this, putting this guy on. So we're still very loose, grabbing and just then sliding the buckle. That cinches it down, and now it's tight. And then if you want, you can tuck that little bit away. So there you go. So that's your belt, done and dusted, on, and you are good to go. Now the nice part is, let me adjust the point of focus to like somewhere there. The nice part is, if you grab on this little, can you see it? There's a little sort of nub over there. I'll show it close up a little later. And you just pull it forward, the belt loosens. So you're sitting down, you've just had supper, let's get a bit of focus for reference. You just had supper, you're feeling fat and heavy, and you're sitting down and you loosen it up like that. When you get up, I'm going to do this, so I'm not going to cover it up, I'm going to show you what I would do. You just grab the buckle, slide that guy, and it's super tight, super solid, and you're good to go again. Now, if you're going to run a different holster, let me just take everything loose again. So if you're going to run a single appendix style holster, something like the Kore Velo, then what I recommend you do is grab this guy here, slide the belt through as you would a normal dress belt, shall I say. And then just slide it through. So nice and loose. Take your holster. In this case, I'm using the Kore Velo. Put it on. Really cool, discreet carry concepts on the Velo. Very concealable. Take your firearm. By the way, guys, as I'm sure I've shown already, if I haven't, we are empty and safe throughout the video. Put that guy in, and then same thing, just cinch this guy down. So there we go, tuck it in there, and we are good to go. Now, once again, can you see, heavy crotch shot, but can you see that over there? If I'm sitting down and I want to loosen the belt a bit, I just find that with my finger, pull on it. Did you hear that? And the belt loosens up. If I'm about to get up, all I do is under my t-shirt, slide it in, and the belt then tightens up. Really, really cool from Kore Essentials. Okay guys, so as I was saying, when you buy the belt, it's a lot longer than it should be, and they give you instructions inside the little pamphlet that comes with the belt as to how to cut it. But just for the sake of being thorough, because I like it that when you guys are finished watching my videos, you don't need the instructions. So you get your belt clip, and the cool thing is you get different belt clips from Kore Essentials. I got this one, but you get tactical looking ones. You get ones that look just like a standard belt buckle, but have the same ratcheting system or track line system, obviously as their belts, what makes it famous. Okay, so what happens is you cut your piece off that you no longer want, that's too long, and you take the back end of the piece that you cut, not the nice piece that goes around your body that is nice and shaped and everything. You take the ugly piece that you cut, okay, and you slide it in, into the belt buckle like that. Give it a little space. Don't start it all the way up, because when you ratchet this over, the teeth are going to bite into it and move it just like a 0.5 millimeter forward. So give it a little space, lift this guy over and press it down. That will then click into place. Now, they also give you, so I'm going to focus on that. They also give you 2 screws and a little Allen wrench, and those go into those 2 holes. they do tell you to not over tighten it. So you got to tighten it just like it shouldn't be so depressed that it begins to sort of what's the word for screws? Not unscrew itself, unthread itself. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. So sort of tighten it to a point where it's not going to come loose, but don't put all your weight behind the tightening of it. And that's just like a backup or another measure of security to make sure this thing doesn't come out. And that's it, guys. And then you're good to go. Then your belt is solid, right? And as you can see, I went for, you also, sorry, before I go further, you also get a piece of material like this that is the same color as your belt, and that goes around it, because as you can see, you know, it's a fairly rigid piece of material, so that you can just slide this through there like such, and it wraps around your body quite nicely. Now in South Africa, so before, this was sent to me from Kore Essentials in the US themselves. So a huge thank you to them. I have a 10% discount code with the US store. So EDC for the EDG gets you 10% off the US store. In South Africa, currently you can get a Kore Essentials belt from SA Tactical Institute, as well as CHS Guns. So SA Tactical Institute in Durban, CHS Guns if you're in Cape Town, but they deliver all around the country. There could be more. I apologize if I'm not mentioning someone, but those are the two companies that I know for certain have Kore Essentials belts. And as you can see, the thing I like about it is it looks so nice. This goes perfectly with almost any outfit. I've run this, I'm tempted to say daily, since I've got it about, I think it was like 2 months ago. It wears really well. You do get leather outers to make it look like a leather belt. I went for the webbing in grey simply because I have enough black, and I think grey just suits all outfits as far as I'm concerned. I've not had an outfit that doesn't suit a grey belt with a nice silver belt buckle that looks really sleek and minimalistic. If I haven't showed it already, guys, this is the tab that you pull and it releases the track. The nice thing about it is, I probably showed it in an earlier piece of footage, very, very easy to loosen. If you're sitting down, you know, when the belly comes a bit forward, shall I say, forward, and when you get up and everything firms up again, you just slide, all you do is you slide the track and it tightens up again. Really, really cool. Very impressed. This is going, I'm going to say, to be honest, of the belts I've had so far, no disrespect to the other guys, the Kore Essentials is probably the best gun belt I've had. Gun belts are one of the most overlooked aspects of everyday carry. They are one of the most important aspects of everyday carry. A proper gun belt aids in concealment, aids in comfort, and it probably does also aid with your draw stroke. And those things, concealment and comfort, people underestimate it, but those are the things that make you want to carry more often, right? So you guys have probably seen this belt all over my social media. You've been asking about for the review for ages. The Kore Essentials EDC gun belts, if you can get your hands on this, get your hands on this. If you're looking for your first gun belt, go for something like this, because even if you stop carrying, right, and I don't even advocate this, even if you stop carrying, this belt isn't so rigid or so stand outish that you can't still wear it. This is almost a fashion item. I mean, look at it. It looks really, really cool and sleek and modern. If you are going to run a bigger holster setup, as you can see, the belt still has that rigidity, and this is how I run my setups when I have a holster sort of like this with a mag carrier. The buckle will be off to the side. The mechanics of it remain exactly the same as if the buckle was in the middle. Excuse me. You just slide it to open it, and you pull the little stub to loosen it, and you're 100% good to go. Kore Essentials, well done, guys. I think you guys have created one of the most well thought out, that track line system and the quick release, genius. Yes, one of the most well thought out and probably one of the best items that aid for everyday carry, besides the holster and the firearm, as far as I'm concerned. Really, really cool addition to EDC, and very rarely do I recommend things because everything on the channel is an opinion, nothing is a recommendation. But if someone was to ask me what should their first gun belt be, Kore Essentials gun belts, very, very easy for me to recommend that. Brilliant little belt. Guys, as you saw, those are the belts I have reviewed, and the reviews should have popped up in this video. If not, I'll leave a link to a playlist of my gun belt and tactical clothing reviews at the end of this video. If there's a belt you want me to get my hands on and review and test and live with and that sort of thing, and give my honest opinion on, 100% I am willing to it, but you got to let me know, because I don't know every single manufacturer. So, you know, whilst I say this is the best for me, there might be something else out there that is a million times better that I've never heard of. Okay, so if there is anything you want me to have a look at, let me know and I will try to get my hands on it. Guys, thank you to Kore Essentials. As I said, this is available from SA Tactical Institute here in South Africa, as well as CHS Guns. Give those guys a shout if you're looking for one. They come in many different styles, many different types. Very, very cool belts. Thank you to the guys over in the US at Kore Essentials for hooking me up with us and having the confidence in a little South African channel to produce the content we produce. Guys, if you aren't following me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, I am EDC for the EDG everywhere. I post on Facebook and Instagram every single day. I post on YouTube a few times a week. If you are following me, I encourage you to please follow another EDC channel, be it local to you guys or local in South Africa. Because the EDC community needs as much support as it can get right now, and we really, really appreciate your support. That is it, guys. I will see you soon for another review. Have a good week. Train hard. Be safe. Cheers. God bless.